Okay, are you ready? Let's dive into 2035 this week. It's a story online written by the Appalachian Gorilla, and this chapter, well, throws us right into the action. We've got Tom, our main character, with his family and their friend Mike.
Yeah, and they just had some guests over, but it seems like everybody's kind of on edge.
Yeah, what is going on? That's what
What?
we are here to try to figure out.
Yeah. One thing that's really interesting to me here is that the author, doesn't give us much backstory. Like, we're dropped into this tense scene with very little context.
Right.
It's almost like starting a movie in the middle, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And you're trying to piece together what you missed.
Exactly. So we see Tom talking about something that needs to be done by Friday, some task. And he's like, who wants to go hunting? Hunting what?
I think hunting what?
And then he mentions a bug man.
Yeah, a bug man.
Well, that's where things get really intriguing, I think.
Yeah, like right away that raises so many questions. Is it like a creature? Is it slang? Is it a metaphor for something? Right. The author leaves it deliberately ambiguous, which is really good. It makes you want to keep reading to find out more.
Yeah, it adds that suspense.
Yeah.
And it's not just the bug man that's unsettling. There's something about Tom's family dynamic that feels like off.
Uh-huh.
His daughter mentions that she hasn't eaten, hasn't been fed, and his reaction is just weird, almost like he's forgotten he has a daughter.
Yeah, it's really strange.
It's such a small detail.
Yeah.
But it speaks volumes about Tom's state of mind.
Yeah.
I mean, is he so preoccupied with this hunting thing that he's neglecting his family?
Right.
Or is there something, I don't know, deeper going on? Something that's affecting how he's thinking?
Yeah, totally. And his son, G, seems worried about him too.
Yeah.
You know, there's all this underlying tension and anxiety. Like they're a family on the verge of like falling apart.
Totally, yeah. And then to top it all off, Tom gets jumped in an alley. It's a sudden, brutal attack.
Out of nowhere.
Knocks him unconscious, and boom. That vulnerability is terrifying.
Yeah, it's a huge turning point in the story. And when he wakes up, he's tied to a pole in a basement, facing these two men who are looking for their missing brothers.
Oh, gosh.
And they think Tom is involved.
Oh, damn.
And the interrogation, brutal. The author doesn't hold back on the details. It's graphic and scary.
It really puts you in Tom's shoes.
Yeah.
You can feel how terrifying it is.
Totally. It's like you can feel the cold concrete of the basement, smell the dampness, hear those men's harsh voices. You're right there with Tom experiencing that fear.
And you think, okay, this is as bad as it can get, but then Tom escapes. And not just escapes, he turns this rusted car into a weapon.
Oh, man.
A desperate and violent struggle. And again, the author doesn't shy away from those details.
Yeah, and what's interesting about that scene is, it shows us something about Tom. He's resourceful.
That's folly.
He's cunning. He's capable of violence. But is that violence, like, necessary in this world? Or is it, like, a sign that he's becoming something more dangerous?
It's a good question. We see that internal conflict, too.
Yeah.
After he gets away, he looks at his blood-soaked hands.
Yeah.
And you wonder, is that remorse? Is it shock? Has this act of violence changed him somehow?
You're left wondering. And then just when we think he's safe, the chapter ends with him collapsing at his doorstep.
Oh, my God.
Did he make it? What about his daughter? What happens next? The author leaves us with more questions than answers. It's brilliant.
It's frustrating, but also, like, you have to keep reading.
Exactly.
There's just so much packed into this one chapter.
Yeah.
This mysterious world, this family in crisis, this main character who's both resourceful but also ruthless. But let's go back to the Bugman for a second. You mentioned earlier it could be a metaphor. What do you think the author's trying to say with that?
Well, it could represent those unknown threats we all face in our lives, those fears and anxieties that we have.
Right.
And Tom's desire to capture it alive, maybe that suggests he needs to confront and understand those threats.
So maybe it's not about hunting a literal creature, but about facing our own inner demons, the things we try to bury or ignore.
Exactly. It could be a symbol of anything that haunts us, anything that keeps us up at night.
Wow. And the fact that this story takes place in 2035, that's just over a decade from now.
Yeah.
It makes it all the more unsettling. Yeah. Could this be like a commentary on where our world is headed? A warning about technology or the environment, or even societal breakdown?
I mean, the author doesn't explicitly say what's happened between now and 2035, but the setting itself feels, I don't know, decayed.
Yeah.
Desperate. It makes you think something catastrophic has happened. Violence and fear are just normal.
So the title 2035 then becomes more than just a year, right?
Yeah.
It's like a warning or a reminder. Like the choices we make today, they have consequences for the future.
Huge consequences. That could be much scarier than we think.
We talked about Tom's family and how strained those relationships seem. You can just feel that unease, like they're all walking on eggshells around him.
Yeah, that family dynamic is really a fascinating layer to this story. Tom's wife, she barely speaks.
Yeah.
But her silence, really says a lot. She just seems so resigned, almost defeated. And the way she reacts when those guests leave, it's like there's more to that whole thing.
Right. Like, she hangs her head. There's a sadness there. Do you think those guests are, like, connected to the events that happen later on? Are they a threat to Tom's family?
I mean, it's definitely possible. The author plants all these little clues, these hints of something darker going on beneath the surface.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder, is Tom's whole obsession with hunting this bug man? Like, is it connected to these mysterious guests somehow? Maybe he's trying to protect his family from something. Or maybe he's the one putting them in danger. It's hard to tell.
And speaking of protection, there's Mike.
Right.
He's clearly a close friend to Tom, but he also seems very aware of the risks involved with this whole hunting expedition.
Totally. He even suggests bringing buckshot just in case we run into trouble.
Yeah, that's not a good sign.
Not at all. And Mike's role in the story it's really interesting. He's loyal to Tom, but he's also pretty pragmatic. Like, he understands that violence is sometimes necessary, and he's not afraid to use it.
Yeah.
Which makes you question his own morals a bit.
Yeah. I mean, he even says to Tom, sometimes I think you're just a crazy person, but then the genius comes out. That line really stuck with me.
It's a great line. It really sums up that duality in Tom's character.
Right, that struggle between intelligence and, well, his more volatile tendencies.
Exactly. And Mike seems to recognize and accept both sides of Tom, which speaks to their bond, I think.
Yeah, that's true. But it also makes you wonder, how far is Mike willing to go for his friend? Is there a line he wouldn't cross?
That's a great question. And then there's G, Tom's son.
Right.
He seems much more hesitant about all this, more worried about his father. He asks questions, expresses his concerns, but ultimately he goes along with Tom's plan.
Yeah, it's almost like he presents a more innocent perspective. He's caught between loyalty to his father and this growing unease about his actions. You can see the fear in his eyes, that worry that his dad might be losing himself.
Yeah.
It's like he's a reflection of our own anxieties as readers,
Totally.
We're also trying to understand what's happening, trying to make sense of the Tom who's with his family and the Tom who's capable of this brutality.
Right. And the setting adds to that whole unsettling atmosphere, too.
Yeah.
The story takes place in a rural area, mountains in the distance.
Yeah, you should feel peaceful, isolated.
Exactly. But there's this underlying tension, like danger is lurking everywhere.
That isolation is really emphasized when Tom is ambushed, too. It's in a dark alleyway, away from any help. Like, this world feels almost claustrophobic.
It is. Like, the walls are closing in on Tom and his family.
Totally.
And it makes the violence even more impactful, too, because it's not just happening in some anonymous city. It's happening in a place that should feel safe and familiar.
Right.
And it shatters that illusion of security and tells us that nowhere is truly safe in this world.
And the author does not shy away from just how brutal that violence is. We see it in the interrogation, in Tom's escape, even in that dream he has where he's carrying his daughter through the woods.
Oh, man, that dream sequence it's haunting. It shows this deep desire to protect his daughter.
Yeah.
But it's all mixed with these images of blood and violence. It makes you wonder about the lines between his love for his family and his capacity for brutality. It's blurry.
We talked about the year 2035 and what the author might be saying about the future. But what do you think about the title 2035 itself? Why choose that year specifically?
Well, 2035, it's close enough to our present to feel, I don't know, really real, like unsettlingly real.
Right.
It's a future we can almost imagine, a future that feels within reach. He's not creating some far-off dystopia. He's showing us a world that could be ours in a little over a decade.
So it's a warning then, a cautionary tale about the choices we're making today and how they could impact the future.
I think so. I think
Okay.
he's inviting us to look at our own world, at our anxieties and think, what kind of future are we creating? Is this the path we want to go down? What can we do to change course?
That's a heavy question, but it is important.
It is.
The author doesn't give us any easy answers, but he definitely makes us confront the realities of our world and the choices we make.
He does. And he does it through a compelling story with characters that feel both familiar and really unsettling.
Yeah.
Tom's struggle, it's like a reflection of our own internal conflicts,
Right.
that battle between our better angels and, well, the darkness we all have inside us.
We have talked a lot about the violence in this chapter,
Hmm.
and it really makes you think about what the world is like in 2035. Is this just normal? Like, has society totally broken down?
I mean, the author doesn't really give us like a clear picture of, like the bigger societal structure, but the little bits we do see are pretty bleak.
Yeah.
Like we see poverty and desperation and this feeling that people are just trying to survive however they can.
Yeah. And that makes Tom's actions even more, ambiguous, like both the violence and his whole plan to catch this bug man.
Right.
I mean, are these acts of desperation, or is he, going crazy? Or is there some, like, messed up sense of justice happening here?
It's really hard to tell for sure, right? Like the author is so good at mixing realism with surrealism.
Yeah.
So we're constantly questioning like what is even real and what's not.
Right.
And is Tom even reliable? Or is like his view of the world all distorted by, trauma or something?
Yeah. That's what makes this story so interesting. I think you're always trying to figure out what is going on and what's motivating these characters and what does it all mean.
Right.
And the author doesn't give us any easy answers. He
Right.
wants us to struggle with these questions.
Totally. And that ambiguity even extends to the bug man itself. Like we have talked about it as a metaphor, but like what if it is a real thing? What if it's some kind of creature that was, born from the chaos and decay of this world?
Oh, that is an interesting thought. So, like, if the bug man is real, then it could, like, represent how dangerous this world is in a very real way, like a physical manifestation of all that violence and fear.
Exactly. And then Tom's desire to catch it alive takes on a whole new meaning, right?
Yeah.
Is he trying to control this like force of chaos, understand it?
Yeah.
Or is it like some messed up revenge thing? We just don't know.
We're left wondering.
Yeah, which makes us want to keep reading.
Absolutely. Speaking of unanswered questions, let's go back to those guests who were at Tom's house at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
We still don't know who they are or why they were there.
Yeah, they are like the shadow hanging over the whole chapter, right? They create this tension, this feeling that something is not right even before any of the violence happens.
Right.
It's like that Chekhov's gun thing, Like if you see a gun in the first act, it's going to go off by the third.
Right. So you think those guests are going to be important later on in the story?
I think it's very likely the author is way too careful, way too good to just include them as some random detail. Like they have to be important, somehow connected to the bigger story.
Yeah, maybe they're the ones who set up Tom's kidnapping. Or maybe they're, like, part of a bigger something that is threatening Tom and his family.
Those are really good theories.
Thanks.
It's these unanswered questions, these little hints and suggestions that keep you hooked. You're always trying to put the pieces together and figure out what will happen next.
Yeah, and that is what makes this story so good. It's not just about the plot. It's about the whole journey.
Yeah.
Exploring these themes and wrestling with these really complex questions.
Exactly. The author
Alright.
trusts that the reader is smart. They can figure things out on their own.
Right.
He's not giving us all the answers. He's inviting us to be a part of it, to come up with our own ideas and make our own conclusions.
That's really cool. So as we finish up our deep dive into this chapter, let's leave our listener with one final thought. What do you think is the most important question this chapter raises? Is it about, the nature of violence or how fragile family is, or what about morality? Or is it something completely different? I mean, the great thing about this story is that there are no right or wrong answers. It's about the journey and the exploration and finding your own meaning in all this chaos.